Hi, I'm Jeff Bernstein, professor of political science at Eastern Michigan University. I've been on the faculty at Eastern for 23 years. I teach classes in American politics, public opinion, campaigns and elections, the kind of stuff that you might be reading a little bit in the paper these days. And Eastern is my professional home. It's where I've been all of my career, and I love nothing more than being in the classroom and teaching students at the school. So welcome to my show, Tuesday Tea with Dr. B. I know that you can't come and visit campus right now, but I hope that by inviting some of my friends here to talk about what they do and to talk about the fun they have on campus, that you might get a little bit of a flavor for who we are, what we do, and why your time at Eastern could really be very special for you. None of us really fully know what the fall semester is going to look like, but we're all working to make sure that it's going to be a memorable and extraordinary one for you, however we end up doing it. And by the way, if you have any questions about Eastern, or you just want to talk about what your time at Eastern could look like, my email address is on the screen. Please feel free to send me a note. So my guest today is my colleague, Ron Delph, who is a professor of history at Eastern Michigan University. Ron, thanks for being with us today. So tell me, what are some of the really fun things that you get to do as a professor of history?
Oh gosh, Jeff, there's a long list of fun and entertaining things that I get to do over the course of an academic year. I think first and foremost, I teach European history, and my specialty is the Italian Renaissance, and so I teach a whole assortment of classes on European history. And as you just mentioned yourself, I love being in the classroom and I love teaching. I teach a wide assortment of classes, all the way from the European witch craze to a class on the Crusades to an annual study abroad trip in Florence and Rome. And that's particularly the study abroad class is always one of the highlights of my academic year. But I also enjoy working with the students, mentoring a lot of students, writing their honors thesis, or just seeing them from the time that they enter as freshmen, progressing through to sophomores and juniors and seniors, seeing them develop intellectually, gaining their courage to speak up and their intellectual chops. I think that's really gratifying as well. And I also think, to be honest, I enjoy my colleagues, being able to share the academic and intellectual life with just a whole bevy of really interesting and smart people. So lots of interesting and rewarding things in my academic life over at Eastern Michigan University.
Do you typically sponsor students for the undergraduate symposium?
Just about on an annual basis, I do, and I've done that for a long time. I'll just mention to you, without mentioning any specific names, right now, I have a student who's working on an honors project. He's writing a play. And it centers around the sack of Rome, which occurred in 1527. German and Spanish troops sacked the city brutally. And he is bringing to life some of the individuals, fictitious, of course, some not fictitious, and following them over the course of several months and culminating in the sack of Rome. And one of the things that he wants to try to do is to get portions of this play staged for the undergraduate symposium. So we're pretty excited about that.
That sounds really, really amazing. You know, I know I find very often that when I'm working with students for the symposium or for theses or just in general, you really do get to know them for a while. I mean, one of the interesting things that I find is a lot of the freshman classes we teach, or the classes that first or second year students are in, are fairly small at Eastern. Yeah. So you're not teaching students for the most part in these super large lecture halls where you never see them.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things I think that's special about Eastern Michigan University is that we do on the freshman and sophomore level teach to small classes, and you can develop some really good relationships with students, and conversely, you know, they get to know you as well, and you can really have an effect upon them, get them excited about the material, get them excited about the subject, encourage them, to begin to develop an interest in different areas. And that, I think, is not just what makes us special, but also it's one of our strengths. It really is, yeah.
I often describe it that we have so many of the advantages of a very large university, a big community, lots of stuff going on, tons of student organizations. But for students who are looking for it, it's almost that small liberal arts college experience. Small classes, ability to work very closely with professors.
Yeah, I agree with you. It has, in many respects, although it's a large campus and we have, close to 18,000 students, it has a small campus feel to it, I think. And students can do a lot to create, within this larger campus, that small campus feel. And the classrooms, I think, are where a lot of this begins, as a matter of fact. The fact that I think you're like I am, and usually by about the third weekend of the semester, you know the name of every student in your class.
Yep.
So they're not just a student number to you, but they're actually a name. And, you can call on them by name, or when they raise their hand, you can acknowledge them by name. And, that makes a lot of difference when the student realizes, hey, he knows who I am. Mm-hmm. I think it vests them even more in the matter, in the learning process.
I feel the same way. And I love in my department, and I'm sure it's the same one flight up from us in history, that you see students walking up and down the hallways and they're looking into the doors and saying hi to all the professors like they work there.
Yeah.
When I graduated from my undergraduate institution, I probably knew 7 or 8 of the faculty members in my department that I could just knock on the door and say hi to. And it's very gratifying to see that happen at Eastern.
Yeah, I absolutely think you're right. You had the same experience I did, and that is that, you got to know a lot of your professors on the undergraduate level, and you got insight into not only their minds, but actually what they did for a living, which I found to be absolutely fascinating. It's one of the reasons why I became a professor, because I got to see, up close what these people were doing. And I said, wow, that's an attractive career right there. Yeah.
I had exactly the same experience. I still remember going to talk to one of my professors in office hours and just saying to him, okay, so it seems like you spend your time teaching political science and researching political science. How do I get that job?
And you miss that and getting paid to do it. I mean,
I'm getting paid to do it. Now, he didn't talk about all the meetings he had to go to, but into every life, a little bit of rain must fall.
Yeah.
So, want to do a few fun lightning round questions?
Sure, fire away.
All right, let's throw some at you. Would you rather mow the lawn or shovel snow?
I'd rather mow the lawn.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Who should play you in a movie about your life?
Robert Redford.
Nice. I could see that. All right, and since I know that you do a study abroad trip to Italy and you study Italy, the next 3 lightning round questions will sort of be a little bit of an Italian theme here.
All right.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
Excellent. Good answer. Favorite place in Italy?
The Borghese Gallery in Rome.
If you could have lunch with any pope, living or dead, who would it be?
Julius II.
Why?
Pope Julius II, yeah, Della Rovere. They called him Il Papa Terribile, the horrifying or the terrifying Pope. He was one of these larger-than-life men who, at the age of 70 or 75, mounted a horse and led papal troops into battle himself. He was a force to be reckoned with. Yeah.
I have to say, I always love talking to you about the Italy trip, and I don't know if you remember, but when I started thinking about doing my annual trip to Washington, D.C., you were one of the first people I spoke to about how to make a trip like that work.
Yeah, I remember that conversation, yeah.
Always appreciated that guidance and those ideas that you had.
Happy to do it, yeah.
Yes, those types of things are just so meaningful and so much fun for students.
They are. I think... I'm sure you've seen this on your trips as well, that the students just get so deeply into the material, and it's not just an intellectual experience; it's a cultural experience as well, and that's really gratifying to see. Really gratifying to see.
Favorite spot on EMU campus?
I love to walk around, where the Bob's Boathouse is, and that little lake right there in the middle of the campus. I love to walk around that it's a pond, it's not a lake, and check out the fish. I'm a fisherman. I do a lot of fishing, and I like to check out the bass and the bluegill, and there's some monster carp in there. There's an albino carp. Have you ever seen him?
No, I knew there were fish. I didn't realize we had any fish worth...
Oh Lord, yeah, there are a ton of bass and bluegill in there, but the real champion is this albino carp, which is he's a monster.
How big?
Oh, he's big. He's probably 3 feet, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's my
all right.
favorite place on campus, just walking around that pond right there.
Can't wait to get back to campus and look.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it. So, last question. What makes EMU special?
Well, we've already talked about this a little bit, and I think it's a big campus, it's a big university, but it has a small feel to it. And I think hand in glove with that is the fact that it's a very friendly place as well. You talk to students who come for campus visits, and one of the things that a lot of them, after having spent a morning on campus or a day on campus, and you talk to them, many of them will say, I'm really impressed with how friendly everybody is here. And I think that's true. I think it is a friendly, welcoming campus. And it can provide a home for people who might be just a little bit leery of leaving home. But on the other hand, for people who come here and they hit the ground running, I think there are a lot of challenges for them and a lot of opportunities for them as well. So I think we're very welcoming and a lot of opportunities for people. And that's what makes us special.
I agree. We're a very welcoming and easy place to come and to become part of that community. So I hope that those of you watching, if you're joining us in the fall, we're looking forward to seeing you there. Feel free to contact me when circumstances permit. Please feel free to come to campus, visit, look around. I think you'll like what you see. Ron Delph, I want to thank you for being with us today on Tuesday Tea with Dr. B. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.